It's creating the brand, creating the Innisfil brand. The voice, welcome to Innisfil. Can I take your order? It's not a long soundbite, but it does make a difference and it does leave an impression.
There's a lot of good input into this, especially with being one cohesive community, because that's something that's doable.
I think another thing that happens a lot of the time is people from Alcona, people from Laflorne, people from Cookstown definitely feel different. It doesn't feel like Innisfil.
The idea of building more connections between these communities. I want to see more interaction between communities, between Alcona, Stroud, Cookstown, all of these communities, Lefroy and Bellure. So I'm really keen to see some of those inter-community connections develop.
The process of inspiring Innisfil has made me more aware that we can blend new and old, that there must be a way that heritage buildings and new buildings can meld together and become the landscape of the future. Then we can appreciate the old more fully.
The demographics of this community don't speak to the demographics of the country, and certainly the demographics of Toronto. So I think there needs to be some looking at that and some attracting a more multicultural base. It's been a farm community and a cottaging community for the most part, and that's changing, and it needs to.
Kind of making Alcona like sort of the downtown core of Innisfil. That does make sense when you step back and kind of look at it and say, hey, that's where a lot of the housing is. That's where housing is growing. It has Lake Simcoe, so the fact that part of the strategy is looking at a way of having access to that beach and making it more of a park for everybody to have access to it and share. That's great as well. So.
I believe that the strategy has identified that Alcona is the new downtown core. And while I don't necessarily disagree with that strategy, it is very important that we remember all of it. Innisfil is very important.
Infrastructure in terms of transportation, so public transportation, sidewalks, opportunities to get people here, especially young people, is certainly outlined in that plan and is vital to us in terms of growth, as well as allowing young people in our community to access us without the assistance of their parents.
It bothers me that the youth don't have more to do. That I guess there's the community church, and I applaud them for that, and there's the Y, but you have to get to both of them. And there are no sidewalks or transportation or...
I think every student, if you said that if there's one thing we could have in Innisfil, what would it be? Public transit. Really, like if you want people to be here, if you want people to stay here, we can't all drive, we can't all afford to drive, some of us are too young to drive. We need a public transit system.
Considering the town's debt capacity limits right now, the balance of employment to resident ratio in terms of a tax structure, it's going to be really interesting to see what the town can realistically afford.
The big thing for people is like having the infrastructure in to support water and sewage, and doing that in a way that makes sense for the whole town of Innisfil. So I probably see that as a priority, is make sure that we're not just starting developing certain areas and not going back and looking at the big picture that's been kind of put together with the inspiring Innisfil, right?
I think people should have a clinic they can go to and a group of doctors they can go to in an emergency and not have to go to neighboring places.
There's not a lot for youth to do in Innisfil. Often we have to go out of the town to other places to do some of these things. Same with universities, colleges, it's always outside of the town. So this kind of feels like a segue into other things.
On the business side, I guess like being on the IT side, and understanding the importance of having high-speed access, not just for business, but for people for their homes. I see that as key, because that's how you really can connect not just your community, but your province, your country, and obviously the globe, right?
What I found very important from the business perspective is we have a lot of commuters. I believe the survey showed that there were 80% of people leaving the community to go to Toronto or other areas. We need to promote small business so that people are attracted to open businesses here. I believe one is we have to make it easy for our small businesses to locate in Innisfil. Second part of that is employers need to be encouraged to hire people that are residents of Innisfil.
Creating a better atmosphere for small businesses to develop within Alcona's downtown core, rather than focusing on specifically Innisfil Heights and worrying about how to service that area.
It's recommended that we need an economic development officer. Not necessarily to go find what we all dream to have, whether that be manufacturing. It actually is honest and says, maybe that's not what we have to go find.
Supporting agriculture and building on that, developing local food opportunities and markets.
Great inspiring ideas at looking at bringing people here for the farmland stays, having harvest celebrations and festivals.
One thing is signage on the 400 was a big thing to try and get people off that highway, and in here that would help my business and a lot of other local businesses.
As I say, when people get on the 400 and pull off, they should be told by people that are running businesses, welcome to Innisfil. And that sets the boundary. You don't need to have big signs. Oh yeah, okay, well, let's have big signs. But let's also have voices.
I would like to see council make highest priority is keeping tourists in Innisfil, keeping residents in Innisfil. Right now there isn't an opportunity for people to come to Innisfil to stay here. They have to go to outlying areas, mostly Barrie.
And supporting the town through their efforts to with the arenas and the rinks certainly will drive the piece that we're looking for to be culturally impactful in the community. So being a facet or a part of the community certainly will happen through development of culture and tourism.
The history and the buildings, the cemeteries, the document center that we have here in Knox School, the website, all of this lends itself to folks coming in the summer months, let's say, searching out their roots. We are very much a part of that search. And I can see a Doors Open program where all of our buildings that are designated or of interest can be part of a daily tour.
Well, I think building on what we have, on the assets that we have, and so first of all, Lake Simcoe was very excited to read about the idea of a port of Innisfil. I think that's a great idea.
If we have somebody that can help coordinate the different venues, the different opportunities within this town, we have an incredible opportunity to network. We have an incredible opportunity to take the existing businesses, add new, but build within what we have and bring those together and share where each one of those can network or share a festival, share events, share, and to attract a much larger crowd than us doing it individually.
Well, I'm really excited to hear that there is a thought that the culture group and the artistic group would get together and form some kind of council. I just so feel that together we can make much more of an impact. And whether it's a one-day event or displays here and there, I'm sure that the word about what Innisfil is all about can better be shared that way.
The artists are easily gathered as collectives to move people together to create change. There would be events planned or different art events to see, or artwork in location or public art exhibitions. A vibrant community.
Quite excited about the idea of the possibility of making Cookstown a designated heritage district. I think that could have a huge potential.
But we have to support what we have, we have to build with what we have, and we have to enhance what we have.
We need to look ahead into the future towards 2020 and provide opportunity to keep people in Innisfil.